Okay. Let me just make sure this is working, and it is. All right. So I'm just going to give some commentary over the highlights of Game Three. The Boston Celtics lost. This game was not as close as the final score indicated. Um, at one point, they were down by 20, 25, something like that. Um, I've said it many times, and I'm going to keep saying it. They play stupid basketball. They spend too much time searching for the three. There was at one point, there was one play where it was a 24-second violation because they were trying to get an open shot, but nobody could get open. And then somebody passed the ball to somebody else, and then they had to force up a half-ass shot that ended up just airballing. They get into the habit of searching for the three. They get into the habit of trying to find the three. That when they don't shoot the three ball well or they can't get a good shot, they then on the other end it translates into sloppy, lackluster defense, right? So I'm watching a play where this was a terrible shot, a terrible shot. Jalen Brown rises up. He has a teammate in front of him, and there's like two Heat defenders right there, or a Heat defender and a teammate right there, one or the other. And he rises up and he smacks the three ball down to bring the game to a 1 point deficit. Right now, instead of them being very hyper vigilant on defense and doing the best they can on defense, the very next play, when Miami gets the ball up to their end of the court, Max Strus just nails a fucking three-pointer like 10 seconds after Jalen Brown hit his, which completely eliminated the fact that Jalen Brown hit the shot. I'm like, this is supposed to be the number one defense? This is the number one defense. Excuse the ad. This is the number one defense. Right? The reason why the Boston Celtics plays outstanding defense sometimes is that they're young, they're athletic, they're lengthy, right? I don't care how lengthy you are, unless you have height to go with it, you're at a massive disadvantage. And what happened once Bam Adebayo started to be more aggressive? They started to look for him more. The Boston Celtics do not, and I've said this, they don't play well when you have a big man that can exploit their weaknesses. They're small down low. I mean, they play energetic on ball defense, but if you meet them with force, look at what happened game one against all the games they lost against Milwaukee. What happened? Giannis got into him, and he was finishing. Giannis got into him, and he was finishing. And when he wasn't able to finish, his teammates were hitting shots. But what happened? What happened was Giannis was softening up the defense. He was tiring them out. You know, he was tiring himself out as well, but he was tiring them out more. He was causing physical issues for them by being so aggressive. And when you have a big man like a Bam Adebayo that can force his way into the paint, at one point he was backing down Grant Williams, I think it was, or Tice, somebody. He was backing down somebody, right? Obviously, the dude was smaller than him. So I thought that he was going to have to force up a bad shot because he kind of got like stalled in his post up, right? No, I mean, dude he puts the ball up in the air and it just switches through. And I'm like, see, if you had a center that had size, and this is the issue, man, and this is why I think they need to trade some of these pieces. I think Robert Williams need to go. Why? Because Robert Williams is constantly hurt. He was hurt before the playoffs started. They didn't even know if he was going to be able to start the playoffs. He didn't play until game 3 or game 4, one or the other. Right? When he's on the floor, he's very effective. But having him on the floor is becoming an issue where he stays hurt. You just had game one that they lost. They didn't have Al Horford or Marcus Smart. You need your players to stay healthy, and I understand players get hurt, but that can't be a recurring theme with this team. It can't be. When Isaiah Thomas was here, he was a 28 points per game guy. The offense was literally built around him. And what happened in the? I think they got to the Eastern Conference Finals against Cleveland. Against somebody, I believe it was Cleveland, and he got injured. It was a terrible accident, not an accident. It was a terrible injury that I don't know if he could have avoided it, but every year the recurrent theme with this team is that somebody's fucking hurt. Somebody is hurt, right? You need to start shuffling some of these pieces out of here, right? You gotta in the draft. I mean. Taco Fall might not have worked out. He might not have. But you don't need Taco Fall to shoot three-pointers. You don't need him to do anything but sit near or in the post, rebound, and defend in the lane. Now, another issue is the three ball, the three-point shooting. They're shooting way too many fucking threes. Way too many threes. Way too many threes. When you're hitting them, they're great. But when you're not hitting them is when it's a problem. When you're getting run off the three-point line, but you're still looking for the three-point, is a problem. You have two young wings, incredibly athletic, have proven that they can score at high volumes, right? But they don't like to get their points in the paint unless they're forced to. Unless it is imperative that they get their points. And sometimes they don't even do it then. They'll still jack up these shitty-ass three-pointers. And it's not a problem when you're hitting them. It's when you're not hitting them that it becomes a problem. And even when they knock down 20, 25 three-pointers, I still have a problem with it. It's way too many fucking threes. You don't need to be shooting 40 or 50 threes a game. You damn sure don't need to be making 20 of them. That means you're shooting too many. The three ball is not a high percentage shot. It's not a high percentage shot. You're taking a risk when you take one. And when your team is down, you need to force the issue into the lane. You need to get inside the paint. You need to start trying to finish. Force them into foul trouble. This team plays dumb basketball. And I honestly believe, and I'm a Celtics fan, I love this team. But I really do believe that they're going to lose to the Miami Heat, man, because the Heat just plays... the Heat plays a style of basketball that is just... It's... I'm trying to find the right words. You are more likely to have success with the way the Heat plays basketball than... If the Boston Celtics lose Game 4, it's over. They're not coming back. It's done. I can't see it happening. I can't see it happening. And the reason the Boston Celtics won what the fuck am I talking about? They won 7 of 8 quarters in the first 2 games, right? That third quarter in the first game was horrendous. But that's because their shooting carried them. And when you're knocking down shots and the other team isn't, obviously you're going to win. You're going to win the game. It's not rocket science. You're going to win the game. What happens when the ball doesn't fall? What happens when the other team is finding more success on offense and you're not? What are you going to do? They need to bring in a facilitator. Marcus Smart is a great defender. To be honest, man, I don't think he should have won Defensive Player of the Year, but that's just my opinion. He had plenty of other guys that probably was more deserving of it. I think awards, should go to. I don't know how you judge who gets it, man. Like Draymond Green, they were trying to base it off of steal numbers and block numbers. And if that's the criteria that we're going by, there's no way Draymond Green should have been a second team all defense. There's no way. Like, I get it. The guy can defend multiple positions, but his production, I would say, if we're going by the numbers, was not there. But that's just my opinion. I don't know what we're judging the criteria of these awards on. I thought the MVP was supposed to go to the best player on the best team. Obviously not, because Jokic got it. And again, Jokic got knocked out in the second round. Dude is a back-to-back MVP winner, and he got knocked out of the playoffs twice in the second round. I believe before he won his first MVP, the year before, they at least got to the Western Conference Finals. But for some reason, they just keep getting bounced out in the second round. Look, man, with the Celtics, man, it's very simple. They need to bring in a facilitator. He doesn't need to score at high volumes. He doesn't need to be a defensive player of the year. You just need a guy that can set it. Bring in a vet, man. Bring in a vet. Like, if you can get, I don't know, somebody like Rondo or somebody that can attack. He doesn't need to be hyper effective. He just needs to be effective at getting guys in their spots so they can shoot or running the offense. Does this team actually run an offense? I done went past the video. Does this team actually run an offense? You don't know. You don't know if they actually run an offense. Because to me, it just looks like they're out there. Everybody's running around in circles, setting screens for each other, trying to get to the three-point line, and the ball hovers around the perimeter. That's all it does. It's just hopping from one person to the other around the perimeter. You're not going to win consistently like that. And I feel like a massive idiot right now because they have been winning. And that's only because their shot is falling at an irregular rate. Like, I still can't fathom how these guys are getting these shots to go in the way they are. But it's not. If they win a championship off the back of the way that they're playing, I will forever question like anybody ever going back in the paint again. I just don't see it. I don't see it. At least with the Warriors, man, they get a high volume of 3-point shots, but you see them setting screens, getting into the paint, getting their big men involved. You see them actually trying to work their way inside the paint. From what I've seen, like 95% of the Celtics offense are perimeter shots. And it's not good enough, man. It's not good enough. And last night is the perfect reason why. Because when you're struggling with it, you end up down 28. And then when you finally start to get the shots to fall, your defense might suck. Because you've spent the whole game playing terrible, lackluster ass defense. So, I don't know, man. Look, I've been trying to stick in there with the Boston Celtics. I've been trying to, maybe they'll figure it out. Maybe Tatum will figure it. Tatum is not a superstar, and I'm tired of people saying it. He's not a superstar. He does not have what it takes to be a superstar. Just because he's the best player on his team. Just because he has the most expectations, because people are expecting him to be great, does not make him a superstar, like the top of the league. He's a really great player. He's a star player, but he is not a superstar. There are levels to that. Superstars are guys. Even though Kevin Durant wasn't able to get it, there haven't been many instances in Kevin Durant's career where his team have come up small once he was able and he got good enough to get his team to the playoffs. You don't really see it happen far too often. But to be honest, I think this season was, for Kevin Durant, I think this season was a red herring. Like, I don't believe that it was what it looked like. I think Kevin Durant quit, which is even worse than playing bad. I think he quit. I think that with all the things that's going on during the season, I'm not saying he quit like he refused to play or anything. I'm saying he just didn't have his heart in it this year. With the stuff that was going on with Kyrie, with the stuff that was happening with James Harden, now the stuff with Ben Simmons, the stuff with Steve Nash, all these different storylines surrounding this team. I think he just had enough of it. and he went out there and he was trying to play. His heart wasn't in it, and you could tell because Kevin Durant did not look like Kevin Durant. He did not look aggressive. Kevin Durant, when I watch him play basketball, he looks like a scary motherfucker. Not like scary, like fear-inducing, like if a dude got a gun and he's walking towards you, not something like that, but like intimidating as far as basketball goes. Like very like LeBron James, Kobe, Michael Jordan, Shaq, guys like that. How Luka's becoming, where they have this aura around them that makes you go, "Jeez, man, anybody but this fucking guy." It didn't feel like that. It felt like I was watching a bunch of JV guys out there trying to run with an NBA team, and they got ran off the floor. But I will tell you this: I will take Kevin Durant's flaky ass over Jason Tatum any day, because Jason Tatum is the biggest perpetrator of these fucking issues that this team is having. And I gotta commend the guy because he knocks down impressive ass shots, but he shoots them too fucking much. And then at times Jason Tatum plays really sorry defense, where he's not even trying to commit to sticking the fucking guy, where he'll just let a motherfucker get a wide open shot. And when your best player plays shitty defense, everybody else on the team suffers. Because then either they got to overcompensate for the mistakes that he's making, or they choose to, I'm not going to play as hard. I'm not saying that's what they say to themselves, but you can see it in their play. It's like, I don't know, man. It's like, I'm tired of doing these fucking videos, man. Every fucking time, bruh. Every time. Every time I think the Celtics might actually make a turn around the corner and start to display winning habits, they do some shit like this. And shout out to the Miami Heat, man. They did what I thought they should have did, was get Bam Adebayo. Like, I hated when people kept saying, well, Bam has to shoot more. Bam has to be... I blame Bam for that loss. No. Bam is a fucking center. Bam is a center. Bam does not bring the ball up. He's not the play initiator. He's not the guy. Bam is... I'm a play solid defense, and I'm going to let my offense come to me. That's what Bam has been doing. That's how he made the All-Star game. He's not a hyper-aggressive center. Now, when he gets the ball in his hands, it's a different story, but he's not going to demand the ball. Come on, bruh. Nobody wants to play with that fucking guy that demands the ball. So, I think that he did a great job with stepping up. I think that whole team did a great job with making plays that they didn't make in game 2. The Boston Celtics, I'm going to say this, and I've said this plenty of times. I hope this is a wake-up call for them. I hope this is a wake-up call to Ime Udoka, and he actually fucking starts coaching this fucking team. Because a lot of times it doesn't feel like he's actually coaching them. He's just throwing the ball out there and saying, hey, go out there and go after it. And that's it. That's what it feels like. And let's not act like Ime Udoka is reinventing the wheel here. The Boston Celtics have made the Eastern Conference Finals multiple times over the past 5 or 6 years. It's not like they've gotten to a point, like if he could get this team to the NBA Finals, then maybe he's treading some new ground. But until then, all he's doing is just wash, rinse, repeat. That's it. That's all he's fucking doing, man. He's not doing anything. The only reason why I thought he should win Coach of the Year was because normally when the Boston Celtics are treading water like they was in the middle of the year, they usually end up just being that way. Very highly inconsistent. But he was able to get them on a 20-something game win streak or some shit. Like, I don't know, man. They won a shitload of games. They went on a master streak, and then Brad Stevens made those moves, which I got to tell you, I doubted at first, but now looking at them, they seem to be solid moves. And I was like, all right, maybe this dude is the real deal. He got this team to get over that mental hump that they keep finding themselves in. Now they're back to that hump again. Look at the fucking Milwaukee Bucks series. They lost the first game by a blowout. They won the second game by a blowout. They lost the second game close. They won the fourth game by a blowout. They lost the fifth game close. They won the sixth and seventh game. They lost the first game against the Miami Heat. They won the second game by a blowout. They lost the first one by a blowout. They won the second one by a blowout. And then they just... This one was a fucking blowout. I don't care how close the game was. These niggas at one point was down by 28, bruh. And they had to fight and claw their way to get back into the game and get it close. And then they wound up screwing the pooch again. But they're highly inconsistent right now. I'm going to say this and then I'm done. I remember the Celtics. I've been a Boston Celtics fan since I was in my early teen years. And I remember when they used to win 20, 25, 30 games. Or they used to make the playoffs but lose in the first round to Indiana, Detroit, and all these other teams. I remember those years. Hated them. I stopped watching basketball because I hated them so much. And then they made the trade for Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen, and I was like, all right, you bringing in two other old guys to go with the third old guy. Let's see how this works. And then this looked like a different team. And I was like, okay, finally, something is going our way. Won a title. We lost to I believe, the Orlando Magic the next year in the Eastern Conference Finals. And then we got back to the NBA Finals the third year, which we should have won that one. That game 7 was the worst game 7 I've ever seen in my life, man. Worst game 7 I've ever seen in my life. But then, we had a couple of down years or a couple of, treading water years with Rajon Rondo. And so, I was still on board with what the team was doing. But then Danny Ainge pulled off one of the greatest heists in NBA history, trading Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett for a bevy of Brooklyn Net first-round picks, which is still the greatest trade in Celtics history and the worst mistake in Nets history, right? That pick turned into a bevy of players. But most importantly, most notably, two of those picks specifically, turned into Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. And I'm glad, because it makes me feel like this team has a future. We're not going to be treading water or sucking for the foreseeable future. But you have to put together a balanced team. You don't have a point guard that could get guys into their spots. You know what happens then? Guys start running their own offense. They start looking for shots that they like. And they got to do the best they can with setting each other up. Which looks like a mess. And it does look like a mess most of the time. You need a center. What happens if you don't have a legit center? A legit low post center? Then you go up against teams that do have centers. Like a Phoenix. Like a Detroit. Like a Cleveland. Even the Lakers. Or most importantly, the Miami Heat. And what happens? There is one area of the floor where you're at a massive disadvantage. And if it gets exploited enough, it kind of trickles out to the other guys. To where now they're trying to overcompensate for this one major weakness right here, which is making all their other areas on the floor a little weaker. This is why Jaylen Brown can knock down a shot, and on their way back up the floor, they could give up a big three. Not too long after that shot, they give up a big three to Max Strus. To where Jaylen Brown hits the shot, they're down by 1. Max Strus knocks down the next shot, and they're back down by 4. And you fouling, you're turning the ball over at inopportune times, you're making a lot of mental mistakes. You know what that screams to me? Bad coaching or lack of coaching. When they lose, they look like the Brooklyn Nets out there. Very clumsy, very unorganized. And you see Ime Udoka standing up screaming. What the fuck is he screaming for? He ain't screaming so fucking much when they're winning. But you want to scream now. So, that's it, man. The Celtics lost because they're just an incomplete team. They play outstanding defense, and sometimes they can get incredibly hot from the three-point line. But this team, they're going to crash and burn at some point. I don't see them winning the championship. And if by some stroke of luck they're able to get by Miami, most likely they're going to have to play Golden State. And unless Steph comes down with a major injury at some point, that series is over before it even starts. Because you're talking about the Golden State Warriors, who shoot the three ball very well and also defends very well. So they're the Boston Celtics, but at that superior, like they're at that elite level. So we're gonna see, man. We're gonna see. I'm done.